Good evening, everyone. We have a full agenda tonight. Welcome to the City Council meeting. I appreciate everyone accommodating a change in schedule for this particular meeting. Today is Monday, October the 7th. We are streaming live on the City of Madison's YouTube channel. We're also recording it for archive and viewing later. Like with all of our other meetings, I invite you to join me in standing and reciting the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll get into tonight's business.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Patrick Tevenow.
Here.
Carla Krebs.
Here.
Lucy DeTillo.
Here.
Josh Schaefer.
Here.
Joel Storm.
Here.
Jim Bartlett.
Here.
And Josh Wilbur.
Here.
Don't move, he said.
To review minutes from September 17th. If so, we'll entertain a motion to approve minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
As we get it done.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on. First agenda for tonight is a proclamation for Code Enforcement Month. So I'd like to invite our Code Enforcement Officer and Nicole Shell, Director of Building and Planning. And I brought you up. What I'd like to do is read the proclamation and have Dewey and Nicole share in talking a little bit about what code enforcement is and the progress that we've made over the course of a very short time here in the City of Madison. And I believe we have a presentation that we shared in Board of Public Works and Safety today that we're going to present at the next council meeting, just so for time constraints tonight. Whereas code enforcement officers provide for safety and welfare of the citizens throughout the United States through enforcement of local codes and ordinances on various issues of zoning, environmental, health, life, and safety. Whereas code enforcement officers have often have a challenging and demanding role and often do not receive the recognition for the job that they provide, improving living and working conditions for residents and businesses of local communities. Code enforcement officers are dedicated and highly qualified professionals who share the goals of enhancing and ensuring safety and preserving property values through knowledge and application of zoning and nuisance codes and ordinances. In 2024, the City of Madison Code Enforcement Officer has opened 275 nuisance-related cases and has closed 255 of those cases. Since the creation of this position in 2022, over 1,000 nuisance and unsafe structure cases have been addressed. Code enforcement officers are called upon to provide quality customer service and excellence to the residents and businesses of the communities in which they serve. The American Association of Code Enforcement wants to recognize and honor code enforcement officers and professionals across the United States and bring awareness of the importance of code enforcement to the communities of the United States. The City of Madison would like to recognize and express our appreciation for the dedication and service of Madison's code enforcement officer, Dewey O'Neill. Dewey, thank you so much. Please share some remarks to Oh, come over here. You gotta get it.
Oh. I thought we did this earlier today.
Do it again.
I didn't realize there was going to be a test. Come on now. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is, as your first code enforcement officer, it's an honor. So thank you for that. I get emotional, as Nicole knows, but it's a hard job, but I like it, and I hope we're doing okay.
I would just add that if anyone wants to view the presentation that Dewey made today, you can review the meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety today.
Sure. Yep.
Which outlined, some of the challenges that we face as a community, but also quite a few success stories where paying attention to a problem allows it to not grow bigger for one, but it also allows for a really positive, impactful change. And on that topic, I'll just mention that I hope everybody here had an opportunity to experience the Tri-Kappa home tour over the course of the weekend. Those properties were phenomenal. It's downtown. They're historically preserved. I believe all of them may have been PACE recipients. And the city's been partnering throughout all of our neighborhoods with property owners, and that's the best way to abate these issues across our community and make it beautiful. Dewey gets the job of being in front on the front lines and working with Nicole and Brian Shaw on the building inspection side, and we're continuing to develop policies to attack this problem. But I think that we've made a lot of progress in a really short period of time. So congratulations and thank you, Dewey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. So moving on, we do have a resolution and a few ordinances, and I'll turn it over to Joe. And this next one is something very special for our community. It's a resolution honoring Mary Kay McCubbin for her efforts in developing the sport court.
This is resolution number 2024-8C, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, naming the Madison Sport Court in honor of Mary Kay McCubbin. Whereas Madison Sport Court, a division of Madison Youth Unlimited and led by Mary Kay McCubbin, along with members Kathy Crafton, Lori Dorsey, Susan Ollendorf, began an initiative to renovate the public tennis courts located at 1253 West Main, Madison, Indiana. And whereas Madison Sport Court created a plan with the City of Madison and the Indiana-Kentucky Electric Corporation to redevelop the tennis courts into a multi-use court that accommodates both tennis and pickleball, and raised all the necessary funds to complete the project to bring a high-quality health and fitness opportunity to the residents of Madison and our community. And whereas in 2020, the city entered into a use agreement with Indiana-Kentucky Electric Corporation and the River Chase Golf Course to enable the sport court to be utilized for public use and to hereafter be considered property of the City of Madison, Indiana. And whereas the Parks Commission of the City of Madison, Indiana agrees to designate the sport court to be utilized as a public park and recommends that the name of said park shall be the Mary Kay McCubbin Sport Court to honor her tenacity, leadership, determination, and to create a facility that will serve the community for generations to come. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison as follows. The Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana agrees to officially name the sport court the Mary Kay McCubbin Sport Court. The resolution shall be in full force and effect unless amended in future, and from this date of its adoption by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, signature of the mayor, enrollment in the Book of Resolutions.
I know you have many friends here tonight. I'd like to present a copy of that resolution that Joe just read to you and Kevin. Thank you so much. Would you like to address?
Thanks to everyone for being here. It's my honor to be here. I wish that the other three on our board could be here, but it's fall break. So that comes over priority. The other reason we were successful in doing it was our major contributors, who are Bill and Terry Canada, Bob and Charlotte Canada, Tom and Mary DeVee, Dick and Connie Goodman, Arvin Sango, Madison Precision Products, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, John and Sarah Morgan family, City of Madison, Community Foundation of Madison and Jefferson County, and IKE. Thank you very much.
Mary Kay, this is special because you're the perfect example of someone that had the passion, the purpose, and then organized and saw it through. So thank you so much for what you've contributed to the city. And who would have known pickleball would be so popular, as short as 4 or 5 years later. But you guys knew.
Well, we have over 100 that come to the Brown Gym throughout the day and night that are playing pickleball inside, and that was the reason that we wanted to do one inside, because of the winter and these older people's joints. Sorry, but that's the complaint I'm getting. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. You want to try to get a picture there?
Yes, you do.
I'm sorry, what?
You do need to vote on that
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Pass that.
resolution.
Yes, I'm sorry, we do. I got all excited about it.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Well, we have a sponsor on the resolution as well.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve?
Sponsored by Councilwoman Krebs.
Yes.
Thank you. Josh.
So I move that we approve, I got the wrong one, sorry. 2024-8C.
I'll second the motion.
Take your pick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks again.
And now we're going to have, this is an ordinance on first reading. It's ordinance number 2024-13. An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, amending section 93.22 of the City of Madison Housing Discrimination Ordinance. Whereas the City of Madison has previously adopted and amended from time to time section 93, Housing and Discrimination, which sets forth regulations prohibiting discriminatory practices, that it shall be the policy of the city to, within its constitutional limitation, for fair housing throughout its corporate limits, and provided for under the Federal Civil Rights Act of 1968 as amended, the Federal Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amendment, and Indiana Code 22-9.5-1. And whereas sections 93.04, 93.05, 93.06 set forth, among other things, state that it shall be unlawful to discriminate against any person in the terms, conditions, or privileges of sale or rental of a dwelling, or in the provision of services or facilities in connection therewith, on any residential real estate related transaction or brokered service because of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. Whereas section 93.11, Administrative Enforcement Subchapter Paragraph A, states that the authority and the responsibility for administrating this chapter and referral of complaints hereunder to the Commissioner as set forth in paragraph B hereof shall be vested in the chief elected official of the city, and paragraph B states that notwithstanding the provisions of Indiana Code 22-9.5-4-8, the city herein elects to refer all formal complaints of violations of this section of the subchapter by complaints to the Indiana Civil Rights Commission for administrative enforcement actions pursuant to Indiana Code 22-9.5-6, and that all said complaints shall be referred to the Commission for purposes of investigation, resolution and appropriate relief as provided for under Indiana Code 22-9.5-6. Whereas, in order to properly align the duties and powers of the Human Relations Commission as created under Section 93.20, and taking into consideration the role of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission in regards to investigating discrimination complaints of any kind as set forth in Indiana Code 22-9-1-6, the Human Relations Commission recommends and the mayor agrees that it is necessary to amend the portions of Title 9 General Regulations, Chapter 93, Housing Discrimination, Section 93.22, A1, A2, B1, B2, B3 of the City of Madison Code of Ordinances and repeal Section 93.22A3. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Title 9 General Regulations, Chapter 93, Housing Discrimination, Section 93.22, A1, A2, B1, B2, and B3 of the City of Madison Code of Ordinances is amended with Section 93.22A3 repealed and shall read as follows. So the new 93.22 duties and powers, it will state, the Commission on Human Relations exists to equip the community, conduct educational programs, and recommend resources fostering understanding and respect for diversity. This promotes good relations and ensures equal opportunities for all. Section 2, it provide tools and support to help people identify and address discrimination based on age, ancestry, color, disability, gender identity, national origin, race, religion, or sexual orientation. The Commission can bridge the gap, level the playing field for all citizens by equipping them with resources to combat discrimination, raise awareness, promote public understanding of discrimination based on age, ancestry, color, disability, gender identity, national origin, race, religion, or sexual orientation. This includes developing programs and resources that empower individuals to identify and challenge discrimination effectively, and connect with resources. Partner with relevant organizations to offer support and guidance to community members facing discrimination, including city officials and agencies. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after this date.
Council, I'd like to invite Jess McAllister and Katie Hadley, two of our members for Human Relations Commission, to join us tonight. And I'll give one more little point about why we're here tonight, and then turn the floor over for Jess and Katie. But as our agenda says with the synopsis, the intention here is to define the role, add more clarity of the role of the Human Relations Commission for community outreach in alignment with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. This ordinance has been in place since the 1960s, and the primary responsibility for the enforcement of the ordinance really is with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission with formal complaints. What we have been, talking with Human Relations Commission is about how do we kind of change the role that has traditionally been that of the Human Relations Commission and have one of more outreach. So, Katie and Jess, thank you for being here tonight. Talk a little bit about what you've been discussing in the Human Relations Commission meetings about this ordinance.
Yeah, so we talked with a lot of other human relations or rights commission across the state, and what we noticed is that they have paid people who stay in the city hall all the time, and they can immediately foster those complaints, and a lot of them have legal aid that are able to help them with investigative properties. But these places also own property, own housing authorities, so they are receiving a lot more complaints that deal with housing than we ever have. So in order to revitalize what we've been doing in our mission, we still want to accept and hear what people are saying, and then be able to take them to those entities that are more appropriate to deal with those complaints, because discrimination is such a, it's an important legal matter, but it's very difficult to just mediate, and that's what we did in the past, and I think that's a difficult topic to mediate. It's difficult when someone feels that they've been wrong to sit there and say, let's talk about how, we could come to a consensus. There may not be that, and it may be legal recourse is the most sensible way for them to go. So we would like to continue to provide everyone with information, but be able to not worry about investigating things and worry about outreach and education in the community and fostering those positive relations within the citizens so that everyone continues to feel welcome down here and continues to enjoy the city of Madison in any way that they can. We hope to reach out to the community and see how we can continue doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work you're doing.
Yeah.
If council has any questions tonight, this is the first reading.
Yeah.
Since this is on the agenda, we have not passed a change in our rules. It's a three reading process, but this is the introduction of the ordinance, and I wanted to make sure that you guys had an opportunity to share with council the work you've been doing in the Human Relations Commission, and continuing what I would consider Madison's role in inclusivity all the way back since the 1960s.
Thanks for your support in putting this forward. We worked on this for a couple of years inside the commission, and we're really excited to play more of an educational role, more of a resource role, and not go down the legal route with skills that we don't have. So we're narrowing our focus to something that we are empowered to do. So we really appreciate your support and would be happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
This is one of those, and you guys taking this time, and I really like the avenue you took, and to get out of the whole mediation of those, because you're right, those are very tough, and allow the state to step in and help handle those things and look at more education, which we don't do a lot of and need to do more of. So much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, then the next reading of this will be at the next council meeting, which will be October 22nd.
Perfect. All right.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Yes, Katie, thank you very much. Council, are there any reports, recommendations, or other business from the standing or select committees of the City Council you'd like to share tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to bills on third reading.
Yes, I believe, this is ordinance number 2024-6, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, repealing and replacing Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances regarding Common Council procedures. So if we could have a roll call vote?
Okay, Patrick Tabanel,
No.
Carla Krebs,
Yes.
Lucy DeTillo,
Yes.
Joshua Schaefer,
Yes.
Joel Storm,
Yes.
Jim Bartlett,
Yes.
and Josh Wilbur.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
All right. And, we've got some other things before we go on to second reading.
Point of order. Do you have a question on the bill that we just?
passed.
Okay,
It's not written here.
go ahead.
Jim Bruce, 1876 Michigan Road, I just don't know what you passed.
Rick, what was passed, it was on the third, this is on the third reading, of an ordinance that, essentially made some changes to a lot of, common council procedures. One of them being how many readings we have of ordinances. There's some other, procedural things as well, but that's probably the biggest one.
And there's a synopsis on the agenda, and the synopsis states that it updates meeting procedures of common council, reduces the number of readings for a bill from 3 to 2, and clarifies privileges of citizens during public comment. Those are kind of the three main elements to it.
And I'm understanding one of the privileges is the right to speak for 3 minutes.
If we want to impose a time limit on it, yes, we could.
I think you want to use 3-minute time limit on anything that public speaks of.
Your time's up, Rick. I'm just kidding.
I know,
You know I'm just kidding. I had to say that.
And then,
I just had to say that.
that's perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. We appreciate you. I did grow up on Walnut Street. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a punk. I'll admit it. Thank you, Rick, for your question. Now we move on. Yes.
We have,
We are going to recess the regular council meeting and move into the public hearing regarding the 2025 budget. Everybody should have signed in for their attendance of a public hearing.
So is there anybody here who wants to address the council and or the mayor's office or the clerk treasurer's office as it pertains to the 2025 budget ordinance? Okay. Seeing none, council, do you have anything you want to discuss at the hearing, or can we close the hearing and move on to second reading?
Joe, if there was an amendment to one of the documents we're gonna be talking about, should I bring it up now or at the time we do this after the second reading?
I would do it at once we close this public hearing, then I will read it for the second reading. And if you want to make an amendment
okay.
at that time, you can do so.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing and seeing nothing else, we will close the public hearing on the budget. And we will now move back to the regular scheduled meeting and have a second reading. The first second reading is on ordinance 2024-10, and that is an ordinance for the appropriations and tax rates, ordinance number 2024-10.
Council, I have a couple remarks to give ahead of our discussion here. We'll see once our AV expert over there. What she was going to pull up, I believe, was the proposed ordinance 2024-10. I want to give an overview for the council and the public with regard to the budget. I know council, we've all had 2 workshops and lots of thoughtful discussion on this budget, but for purposes of the community, I'd like to share these remarks. The 2025 budget represents the 5th straight fully funded budget that combined with the tax revenues, the reserves, the redevelopment commission, and some borrowed funds, continues our focus on investing in public safety, park improvements, and significant infrastructure investment. This budget sets aside capital to begin the resurfacing and improvements in 2025 to the Main Street corridor, which we estimate will cost approximately $25 million and 4 to 6 years to complete. This obligation was created 10 years ago when the city agreed to accept this road corridor. Blight elimination and historic preservation and continuing to revitalize our neighborhoods will continue to be a top priority that we will pursue and fund with the 2025 budget. Current and future tax policy will create uncertainty as to how the basic operating needs of local government will be covered, not to mention the millions of dollars of deferred infrastructure needs of the city. Caps on tax levies and property tax relief by the state drives local government revenue down. So we have to be creative in solving our needs of our community. We will continue to bring diverse capital sources to our projects, which will enable us to provide quality services and investment our community requires and deserves while keeping tax rates neutral. A portion of our city budget is funded by NRO accounts where we have successfully moved those operations from the property tax levy and fees from the services provided to help reduce the operational costs while allowing for greater investment in the city. As you can see here on this particular budget, and anyone here in the audience or anyone listening can look at our notice to taxpayers, which was filed on September the 13th by visiting www.budgetnotices.in.gov, which is the portal for City Madison as well as the other approximately 19 units of government that operate inside the Jefferson County. Budget's relatively flat, has not kept up with true inflation, but we still have a lot of priorities embedded in this budget, as I mentioned before, allow us to focus on our top initiatives. Now I'll turn it back over for any of the discussions on the 3 ordinances for the 2025 budget.
Is there anything from council with regard to ordinance number 2024-10? Okay, seeing none. Anything from the audience? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Ordinance number 2024-10 moves on to second reading. Third reading, sorry, you're right. That's going to be a little confusing for a while. Ordinance number 2024-11, an ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the city of Madison, Indiana for the year 2025. And there's an attached exhibit to that. And so this is on second reading. Council, do you have anything on ordinance number 2024-11? Anything from the public on 2024-11?
I got just a quick comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think the administration did a good job putting together the salary ordinance here. We've been able to raise pay for several employees of the city who have been punching above their weight, but being paid not as much as they probably should be for the job that they're doing. So thanks to the city and council for addressing this.
Anything else on 2024-11? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, that will go on to third reading at the next meeting. And the final ordinance on second reading is ordinance number 2024-12, and that's an ordinance fixing compensation of elected officials for the city of Madison for the year 2025.
So this is the one I have an amendment for. I provided this amendment to the council members here. There's a couple of the elected officials where pay would not be really in alignment with what we're doing, what Patrick, Councilman Thevenall, sorry, Patrick, had mentioned there about what we're doing with, the other department heads and the salaries. So raising the mayor up, is basically 5,000 and the clerk treasurer up 5,000, giving basically an adjustment there. So that it's in alignment, more in alignment with what we're doing overall with salaries, and we can start then utilizing this information and start looking at all those salaries then of the people that are reporting to them. I think it's important to amend to that so we stay in alignment totally. Now the common council members, from my understanding, the reason why it went up is apparently there is a precedence for the city of Madison that it's 10% of the mayor. I didn't ask for that with the amendment, but apparently there is something that has been passed precedent with common council being 10% of whatever the mayor's salary is. So I'm open on that.
So, was that a motion to amend?
So, yeah, I guess I need to make that motion to amend, but I just want to make sure I discuss it.
I think you got it.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion to amend ordinance number 2024-12 to the amended salaries that I provided.
I second that amendment.
Okay, so the amendment would be to change the salaries for the mayor to $88,650, the clerk treasurer to $78,081.21, council members to $88,865.
8,800, not 88,000. That would be.
8,865, and the common council pro tem stipend to be $1,200. So I believe there is a motion and we have a second. Is there any discussion amongst the council with regard to that?
I don't think I'd be able to support this. Over the last several years, we've worked to bring up the salaries for elected officials. I think compared to standard employees of the city of Madison who we have been addressing low pay, elected officials come into this knowing what the salaries are for the job, and I think anything at the current time beyond the cost of living increase is something I won't be able to support.
Any other discussion from council? Is there any discussion from the public on this amendment? Mr. Roos.
internal clock going, pal. Rick Roos, 1876 Michigan Road. It just seems like you've already gone through a budget process, and then you just dump the ante. And I don't see that. Josh, not that they're not worth it, but it just seems like it goes outside the process.
This is something we actually were talking about, salaries, when we were going through our budget process. We didn't get to, digging into data to support any of it. So I had, I didn't have a whole lot of time to dig into the data to try to get this to council until just recently to do it. So unfortunately, it didn't hit the time before we had the first reading to make it.
I suggest
So we're still
postponing
in
your
the.
motion until next year, when you have time.
Okay.
No offense.
I got you. Sorry.
Anybody else? Okay. Seeing and hearing nothing else, we need to vote on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment proposed by Councilman Wilbur, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
No.
Okay. So that amendment passes. And is there anything else as it pertains to ordinance number 2024-12 of the compensation of elected officials? Anything from the audience on the ordinance as it is now? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, that will go on to third reading at the next meeting.
Thank you, council. Moving on, we'll open the floor up for public comment. If anybody is here who would like to address council and the mayor's office, please come to the podium with your name and address and your remarks, please.
Kevin Howard, 4693 West Deputy Pike. I think there's been some confusion in the community about the solar farms and the county doing what they did, putting a moratorium on, and some people thinks it's covering the city buffer zones property as well, and it's not. So I encourage you guys to adopt what the county did and put a year hold on that until you get some zoning and stuff in place to keep them off your rear end. Because what happens if another company comes back besides the one that was there and applies on the property, and we fight the same fight again that we fought the last 3 months? Yeah, I just wanted to encourage you guys to maybe come up with something like that so it keeps you from having a big blown up workload when you don't need it when you're working on the ordinances.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, that's very reason because, like you mentioned, you really have one company after another, controversy after controversy, and it's very hard to uncouple that stuff. That's why.
Thank you guys. I just wanted to address you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Randy Bellamy, 409 East 3rd Street, Madison. A week ago, tomorrow, on October 1st, we had a riot in our neighborhood. We had a line of golf carts and cars and motorcycles and trucks go by our house, honking their horns and making noise and squealing their tires. KDH heard about it ahead of time because they were going to use their parking lot as I do not know this for sure myself, but this was the rumor that I heard, that they would not allow them to gather in their parking lot to start this thing. It was at 7 o'clock in the evening. We're all sitting down to watch TV or relax or read or whatever we do in the evenings. And they go through there and they take our peace and our quiet away. Not only that, but they went through the four-way stops without stopping. They were driving down the center of our street. Our street down there on 3rd Street is a two-way street. And they weren't just going down our street. I called the police department because of what was going on, and they said they would look into it and they would get back to me. Of course, they never did. I called my city council member, right, Patrick? And he said, oh, I didn't know anything about that. And went right by his house, too. I guess he wasn't home that night. I don't understand how something like that can happen in our town and not have anything happen to the people doing it. I want you to clarify why the laws are so selectively enforced. I'm also curious if they had a permit. I don't think they did. I asked that at the police department and she said she didn't think so. If they're going to have a gathering like that where they're going to run stop signs and go down the middle of the street, they should have to have a permit. So who's next going to do this? We're going to have the KKK running through our neighborhoods with honking their horns? Oh, how about Islam Nation? How does that sound? Or even the Democrats. For 2 days after that, my dog was beside himself because they stirred him up so much. Driving by, 40 vehicles driving by our house, honking their horns, squealing their tires. And I don't understand why nothing happened and nothing was talked about. That's my comment, and I would sure like an answer to my questions. It was 7 p.m.
No, but how long would you guesstimate that disturbed your peace? 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 25 minutes? I'm just curious. I did not see it. I was not involved, but how long of a time frame are we talking about?
I didn't time it or anything. It was quite a while. There were 40 vehicles.
And did you see,
approximately, yes.
okay, did you see any traffic jams or accidents that they
Yes,
caused?
I saw
Or,
people standing and waiting while they crossed Walnut Street.
well, I mean, I have to stand and wait across the street every time. I mean, jams, like 15 cars lined up that didn't get to proceed, or, you know, anything like major, or any accidents,
I did not
or,
see that myself. I don't know what happened on Jefferson Street. I don't know what happened anywhere else. But I do know that they did not follow the traffic laws, and I don't understand how people can just think they can just be allowed to do whatever they want in our streets.
and surely you understand that if I get a wild hair that I'm going to go honking down the street on a block, that by the time the police get there, I'm long gone, that there's really no way to enforce
40
that?
vehicles went by. If they went by, the police certainly had enough time to find them and see what's going on.
So you were aware of the route and you were able to guide them to where they were going?
No, I just saw them go down past my house. But then they went down to 2nd Street, is what I understand. I mean, I'm at my house. What can I do?
We had, at the last meeting, I'll address your comments this way. At the last meeting, we celebrated Constitution Week. And we talked about the freedoms and liberties that we have. We talked about the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, a lot of things. And I would ask you, in the context of constitutional rights, freedom, and liberty, and I live on Main Street, so I have 15,000 cars driving past my house, speeding in various different ways. They're loud, you know, I mean, it's all over the board. But in the context of freedom of speech, what laws were broken other than disturbing your peace that night? We all have the freedom to express ourselves and peacefully assemble. And
No.
so, you know, it sounds like you were aggravated that night, and you may have called the police, and maybe they investigated it. I'm assuming they did, but sounds like for a brief period of time it bothered you. And but these were people who were, and you know, ignore whatever political affiliation they had. They were expressing themselves legally, it sounds like.
I would agree that the stop signs should not have been run. Absolutely, you are
Should
correct
they
on that.
run down the middle of two-way streets?
Was there oncoming traffic that they were blocked? I mean, sometimes
I don't
I'm not
know.
paying attention and I wander a little bit
Again,
too.
there's some
Yeah.
conjecture happening here, and we understand you're frustrated by that. The election will be soon.
And what happens when the election comes and they're driving down that same route because their guy lost and they're flashing guns?
And what?
They've got guns. I mean,
Well,
or weapons. How's that? I'll say
Sir,
weapons.
did you see guns
Because-
that night?
I'm sorry?
Did you see guns?
I did not. I'm not talking about that night right now. I'm talking about what happens when they lose.
We have a very
if they
safe
lose.
community, as you know. Very safe. And our police do a phenomenal job with the resources that they have, but they are not on every corner, and they cannot control the behavior of people behind the wheel at the time it's occurring. I'm not aware that there were any accidents. I'm not aware there was any noise violations. Sounds like they did it peacefully. Doesn't sound like there was any weapons, as you're describing, maybe a problem in the future. It sounds like it just bothered you, and for that, I'm sorry, but we live in a community where there are people out and about all the time.
I disagree with that because
that's
the
okay.
way I was brought up,
Yeah.
now hold on, let me say this. The way I was brought up, that my rights stop where yours begin. And I certainly have a right to peace and quiet in my living room at night. Do you think so?
Thank you for your remarks.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to address council or mayor's office? Well, I would like to say a few remarks before we close for tonight. Oh, sorry. Oh, I guess we have a couple more.
I gotta throw 2 cents in. I barely
Name and
made
address,
it.
please.
Oh, Jed Skillman,
Yep.
1505 Michigan Road, and guilty. I was on the parade here, or whatever you call it. I made it just in time to get into the last cart. The parade probably lasted, I'm going to just estimate 10 minutes. We're not supposed to estimate, but it wasn't that long. But there were about 40 vehicles in it. I don't remember any motorcycles in it. There was horn honking. I don't remember anybody peeling off. But we were sitting back at the tail end of the thing. So from our perspective, at the rear end of it, it was very well received. A lot of people on their front porch waving at us. A lot of people with the thumbs up. You know, we had a couple of people come out and give us the bird, but the vast majority of people that we saw on street corners, on their front porch, on the sidewalk, were favorable. I don't remember, definitely I know the guy driving our vehicle that we were in did not run stop signs, did not run traffic lights. I'm not aware, you know, we could have been down the center of the road on 3rd Street. I don't picture it, but
There's no
there was
center
no,
line, so
we were,
it'd be
yeah,
kind of easy to.
we were not going head on against oncoming traffic. In fact, I think it's one way going the other direction now that I think about it. So I just thought I'd throw that in before we get too wound up. If he was upset by it, you know, sorry about that. Next election's 4 years, so that's basically my statement on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other remarks from the public for council and the mayor's office? All right, thank you. The next meeting will be October 22nd. I think I mentioned earlier just what a fabulous weekend in Madison the last few weekends, all the hard work from our volunteers and members of our community to, celebrate some of the best of Madison. And the Tri-Capital home tour was fantastic. Chautauqua, even though it was a little soggy, was fantastic. We're just blessed to live in a community like Madison. We have been finishing the rollout of our TSO modernization plan. So about 5,000 containers have been deployed. Again, watch today's meeting from the Board of Public Works. We had an extended conversation about the status of that. But if you're having any issues with your container, please call Gina here at City Hall and we'll swap out the container and make sure you're getting the right size. We are asking the community to help us smoothly implement the new container, and that is each container is embedded with a serial number that identifies that container to your home, so there's no need to spray paint your container with your address. Please realize that this is as much a safety and efficiency initiative as it is beautification. We try to offer container sizes that meet each household's needs. So please do not put your trash on top of the trash can. And if you have not taken your trash can off the sidewalk yet, we ask you to do that so that, again, we can keep our sidewalks clear and unobstructed. So more to come on that. We're moving into the final phase of this TSO modernization plan with the plant improvements, but it's going very, very well. And then I would, again, like to thank Madison Police Department, our streets, utilities, for all the hard work they've done to keep everybody safe during these past few festival weekends. We will be celebrating the ribbon cutting for the Ohio River Legacy Park on November the 1st. So look for an announcement about that. And then we continue to work on our Cricket Creek flood mitigation, and then also beginning meetings with the steering committee for our updated zoning ordinance. So a lot of planning is happening along the way with running the city and making sure that we're offering as much as we can to those who visit and live here. With that, I'll turn it over to the council if you have anything you'd like to share before we adjourn. Hearing none?
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?